Welcome back. How about a playoff report for your Thursday? So, as we get ready for 2 more games to get played tonight, I figured now's a good time to do a little bit of a playoff report video. We'll start off by looking at the Stanley Cup odds, and I pulled these off FanDuel, and obviously this is where the betting's going right now. Dallas are now the Cup favorites in the National Hockey League. Carolina ranks second. The Edmonton Oilers third, and the Toronto Maple Leafs fourth. And of course, those are the teams that are all leading their series currently, so these odds are subject to change. Florida is fifth on the list, Vegas sixth, Winnipeg seventh, and Washington at the bottom. Kind of surprised Washington's at the bottom, but an argument could be made for any of the 8 if you want to try it. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Has your prediction changed because the team you got eliminated, the team you picked to win the cup got eliminated? That was the case for me. Or have you stayed the same? The team you picked to win the cup, you still think is going to do it? Yeah, let me know your thoughts on that. But let's get into the series, and then we'll get over to this side of the board and a little panic, little bit of panic that I wanted to discuss today. So Toronto and Florida. Toronto leads that series 2-0, which is a surprise to most, to be honest. Not as an insult to Toronto, I don't think, as much as it's a compliment to Florida. The Florida Panthers, really good track record in the playoffs in recent seasons, but Toronto is ahead. Nylander, the leading scorer for Toronto, 8 games, 6 goals, 7 assists, 13 points for Nylander. He has really come through. Bobby McMahon's been all around it, just the 1 assist in 8 games. At some point, he's going to get a goal. It's got to happen. On the Florida side, Lundell leads the way in scoring. 7 games, 3 goals, 5 assists, 8 points. Mikkola, no points in 7 games. I know he's a defenseman, but still, you probably want at least some points or something there. He's been a -2 during these playoffs as well. When you look at the goaltending matchup, Woll is currently the goaltender. Stolar's not traveling with the team. Woll 2-0 in these playoffs, .875 save percentage, which isn't great, but there's a lot of save percentages that aren't necessarily great for these teams remaining in the playoffs, including Bobrovsky's. He is 4-3 with an .876 save percentage. I don't think Bobrovsky's been great in these playoffs. I think he's been good at points, but there's definitely a door that is cracked open for the Toronto Maple Leafs. We'll see if they can push their way through it and get to a conference final for the first time in over 2 decades. Washington and Carolina, the Canes leading this series, but just 1 game in, right? So no reason for panic as of yet. Dylan Strome's had a ridiculously good playoff. 6 games, 2 goals, 7 assists, 9 points. And Dubois, 2 assists in 6 games for Dubois. They probably want at least a goal out of him at some point in this series. We'll see if that happens tonight. Sebastian Aho, 6 games, 3 goals, 5 assists, 8 points. The leading scorer for Carolina, to the surprise of no one. Jordan Staal continues to not get points. No points in 6 games. And I don't say this as an insult to Staal. I only point it out because at some point he's going to get a big goal, a big assist. Something's going to happen with Staal. We're just waiting for that to take place. Logan Thompson in net, 4-2 with a .926 save percentage. He's been quite good. Freddie Anderson, when playing, the starter for them, 4-1 with a .935 save percentage. So Freddie Anderson's had a pretty good playoffs. It's just a matter of staying in there. But if something happens to Anderson, we know Kochetkov can go in and get the win as well. The Winnipeg-Dallas series got started last night. Dallas won that one, so Dallas ahead 1-0 in the series. Kyle Connor had a good game, but like many other Winnipeg Jets, frustrated by Ottinger. 8 games, 4 goals, 8 assists, 12 points for Connor so far. Morgan Barron, 2 assists in 8 games so far in these playoffs. He's such a hard worker on that 4th line. I think he's going to get a big goal at some point during these playoffs too. On the Dallas side, Mikko Rantanen has been ridiculous. 8 games, 8 goals, 7 assists, 15 points. Jamie Benn, not as much. 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points in 8 games, and a -5. So Jamie Benn's had a tough time of it in the playoffs. He had another penalty last night too. So it is just part of, as you get older, it just sort of happens. We'll see if he gets a big goal at some point in this series as well. Hellebuck, his numbers have been down. 4-4 record, .836 save percentage. I thought he was better last night against Dallas than he was in the first round against St. Louis. He's still got to get that save percentage up. Jake Ottinger, 5-3 in these playoffs, a .914 save percentage. So strong numbers from Ottinger thus far, and not really a surprise for anybody who's followed his career thus far. The Vegas-Edmonton series, the Oilers leading that one 1-0. Game 2 going tonight, of course. Mark Stone, the leading scorer for Vegas so far in these playoffs, 7 games, 4 goals, 2 assists, 6 points. Brandon Saad, just the 2 assists in 7 games. Maybe he's due for a goal again. As I talk about players that haven't quite got on the score sheet yet when it comes to goals. On the Oilers side, Connor McDavid, 7 games, 2 goals, 11 assists, 13 points. If your number one complaint about a player is, he gets too many assists now, that's pretty strong endorsement that he's a pretty darn good player. I do think there are times where McDavid could probably shoot and probably get the goal, but he does do a very good job of setting players up, as 11 assists in 7 games would tell you. Victor Arvidsson, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points in 7 games. He's been prominent, not so much on the score sheet. We'll see if he can get on the score sheet tonight against Vegas. Aiden Hill, 4-3 in these playoffs, 876 save percentage. Before the series, there was a lot of talk about Hill being better than Pickard, but the numbers for Aiden Hill mirror the numbers for Bobrovsky. I think both of them could be better. Calvin Pickard is 5-0 in these playoffs with an 891 save percentage. Sure, you wish the save percentage was better, but 891, that's a pretty strong number for Calvin Pickard. Well, the 5-0 is pretty strong for Calvin Pickard. The 891 he probably would like to improve, and yet it's still better than Aiden Hills. It's better than Hellebuck. It's better than Bobrovsky. It's better than Wool. So it's been all right. Now, that being said, all the misspeaking aside and everything, let's get over to the panic side of things. So what I wanted to do was organize these 8 teams in terms of which one I think is the most panicked or going to be the most panicked in the offseason because they lost in the first round. Of the 8 teams, I think the panic's probably the highest for the Kings. And I say that because they've already moved on from their general manager. And now there's the debate of whether or not the coach should go as well. That to me says a need for change, which we could interpret as being some form of panic, is there. And so the Kings for me are number 1. Number 2 on the list, I'm not going to put New Jersey. New Jersey's still young. I'll say Tampa. I think that Tampa wanted more. Obviously, they were one of the favorites to win the Stanley Cup this year, and Florida made it look relatively easy at certain times. Plus, you've got a team that's getting a little bit older, so it'll be interesting to see this offseason whether they're able to pivot a little bit, get a little bit more young blood into the lineup. I would put Colorado in 3rd in terms of the panic side of things. The Colorado Avalanche should be better than this. They really should. I'm not sure, and I know that losing to Dallas, who right now are favorites to win the Cup, it's not shameful, but still, Colorado had that lead late in the game, and they just flat out blew it. I will put New Jersey next because we've already seen talks about changes. That came out today from Tom Fitzgerald, and so it does look like there's going to be some sort of change there after what happened in the playoffs. I would say St. Louis probably next. I know a lot of fans talked about how they lost a lot of leads and all this, but I thought, honestly, that St. Louis had a really strong second half of the season. I think the future's pretty bright. Give Montgomery a full season, see what kind of seeding they get next year and how things turn out. If they have home ice advantage in next year's playoffs, things could turn out quite differently for them. I would put Minnesota next, if by default, maybe on some level. The Minnesota Wild, not a lot of expectation of them going forward necessarily, but they're going to have some cap space this summer. They've got some very good young players. Could make for an interesting offseason for them. And I'll be rooting for them to show some improvement. So it is hard to measure any kind of panic for Ottawa or Montreal. I guess I'll put Ottawa ahead of Montreal, sure, but I don't think there's any need for panic with either of them. Both of them good young teams. Ottawa finally makes the playoffs after years of being expected to take that next step. Montreal was not expected to be a playoff team, and they've still got a lot of good young players coming up. Demidov is going to be a favorite for the Calder next year. So, yeah, I don't think there's any need for panic necessarily with, I would say, the bottom 4 teams. Probably not need for much panic. The top 4 teams, to some extent, yes. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support as always. I will talk to you again soon.